Hare Krishna, can we start? Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome to all the devotees for this exclusive question answer session. This is the 32nd session since we started the Bhagavatam series of discourses. And I already have some questions from the previous week, and I invite more questions from the viewers. On live chat, you can post the question and it will be answered. So here's the first question. This is from the previous week. There are pests on my tulsi plant. How do I protect? Yes, you have to send away the pests. So don't use a chemical pesticide which will kill the pests. Instead, use some neem spray or any other organic method of driving away the pests. That's what you have to do. One simple thing is a neem spray. Should we use the words spirituality and dharma more often than the words like religious and Hindu in preaching? Actually, when we are preaching, we should use the words that are translations in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Bhagavatam. Those words we should use. So it's not that we should avoid certain words or particularly use some words, nothing like that. Because Prabhupada gives an accurate translation, very, very accurate. The sense in which the particular word is used in Sanskrit, Prabhupada gives that same sense in English he communicates. So we should use the words used by Prabhupada in the particular context. Now, dharma is translated by Prabhupada sometimes as occupational duty. Sometimes dharma is translated as code of conduct given by God. Sometimes dharma is translated as the laws of God. Sometimes dharma is translated as religious principles. So you should use the particular sense in which it is to be used or it is to be understood in the context. Next question. How are thoughts generated continuously from our mind? Why does it not take rest? Now, the mind you can consider as a thought generating machine. Its only business is to generate thoughts. Okay? So, when a thought arises in the mind, how are you going to deal with that thought is the question that you may have, you should have. What are you going to do with that thought? Now, first of all, you have to understand you are not the mind. Many people make the mistake of thinking I am the mind, and therefore they think that if some thought arises in the mind, I have to deal with that thought. No, not necessary. You don't have to deal with every thought that arises in the mind. That is one thing. Second thing, there is something called your attention. Where is your attention? Just like now, right now, my attention is, what is the question that is being asked? I read the question. Then my attention is on answering that question. Now, it doesn't mean that in my mind there are no thoughts. No, there may be some thought, but I don't give attention to that thought. My attention is now on answering the particular question at hand. So even my senses, for example, now I am looking at the screen. Now somebody passes by little distance away in this room where I'm sitting. My attention is not going to that person, even though my eye is actually registering somebody's passing. My attention is not who is that person, why is he coming, what does he want. My attention is not there. So please understand the difference between the thoughts that arise in the mind and your attention. They are two different things. So you have to give your attention to wherever you want to give. Wherever you want to give. Now if you're hearing what I'm speaking, your attention is fixed on what I'm speaking and what you're hearing through your whatever device, mobile or laptop or whatever you are using to participate in this question answer session. So it is like that. Attention. Where is your attention? That is in your control. Where you give your attention, where you direct your attention. That's up to you. Where do you want to direct your attention? So don't, the mind, actually there's no rest for the mind, because even at night when we go to sleep, our mind is active. Even when you go to sleep, mind is active. So mind, there is no such thing as rest. Okay, it is only for the body. Rest and activity and light activity and heavy activity, all this for the body. Okay. Of course, for the mind, there is also different kinds of emotions we experience, and not all emotions are pleasant. Just like fear is there in the mind, or sometimes there is some excitement, or sometimes there's a feeling of pleasure, sometimes there's a feeling of pain, and sometimes there's a feeling of anxiety. Sometimes there's a feeling of jealousy, or some kind of inimical feeling. Different kinds of feelings, different kinds of emotions, different kinds of states of mind. That is all there, and that is what we experience in terms of the mind. So mind is always active. Mind is always active. Then, next question. What is your opinion of the statue of Ramanujacharya in Hyderabad? I don't have any particular opinion about that statue. Ramanujacharya is one of the very important acharyas who appeared about 1,000 years back for the sake of preaching Krishna consciousness, bhakti, Krishna bhakti. And he did tremendous good to the whole world, and particularly to this country, Bharatvarsha. And his teachings are being followed, and there are so many people who are sincerely following the teachings. And he has left behind him excellent books and his instructions like that. So as regards the statue in particular, I don't have any comment to make about that statue. Number 4, question number 4. Sorry, question number 5. Is the meeting of the sages in Naimisharanya where Suta Goswami is sitting on the Vyasasana same as the meeting of the sages where Lord Balaram is Romaharshana? Yes, it is the same place. Before Suta Goswami occupied that seat, the sages of Naimisharanya were hearing from Suta Goswami's father. The present Suta Goswami who is speaking in the Bhagavatam, his name is Ugrashrava Suta. His father's name was Romaharshana Suta. So Romaharshana Suta was a disciple of Vyasadeva. And Romaharshana Suta particularly specialized in the Puranas and Itihasas. He learned from Vyasadeva and specialized in that. So Romaharshana Suta was actually narrating the Puranas. When Lord Balaram arrived there on a pilgrimage, he was going to different places at the time of Battle of Kurukshetra. And Balaram did not want to stay in Kurukshetra. He undertook a pilgrimage and he came to this place, Naimisharanya. And when he entered that assembly of sages seated, participating in that narration by Romaharshana Suta, then Balaram entered and all the great saintly persons, the sages, they stood up out of respect for Balaram, except this Romaharshana Suta. So this Romaharshana Suta, he thought, why should I stand up? I am sitting on the Vyasasana. So he did not stand up. So Balaram actually wanted to show his mercy upon this Romaharshana Suta. So he said, this Romaharshana Suta is very proud and puffed up, and he doesn't know how to respect the elders, the Supreme Lord, the advanced transcendentalists, etc. He doesn't know how to respect them. So Balaram showed his mercy upon this Romaharshana Suta. He took one blade of grass and just touched it to his neck, and he was immediately killed. So then the sages were assembled there. They said, this now Romaharshana Suta was narrating to us the Puranas. Now he's been killed. Now what is to be done? So then Balaram said his son, Ugrashrava Suta, can actually speak on the, because Ugrashrava Suta was a recognized devotee, of the Supreme Lord. So he was not puffed up and conceited like his father. So Balaram actually directed this Ugrashrava Suta, the son of Romaharshana Suta, to sit on the Vyasasana and speak about the Puranas. Next question. Can we read the Mahabharata written by ISKCON devotees? Yes. That is the most authentic Mahabharata you can read. Yes. Next question. Why should we take tulsi mala, and what are precautions should be taken after taking tulsi mala? Tulsi mala is recommended because tulsi in the form of the plant, and subsequently when the stem of that plant, when the plant dries up, is used to make this beads of the tulsi mala. Tulsi is pure devotee of Krishna. And tulsi leaves are used for offering any food to Krishna. Tulsi leaves are always offered to the lotus feet of the deity of Krishna. So tulsi is particularly recommended to be used by devotees in these ways. So tulsi mala is made up of beads of tulsi from the tulsi's plant stem after the plant is dried up. So So that tulsi mala, if we chant on the beads of the tulsi mala, then we are actually getting the blessings and the mercy of Tulsi Maharani, who's the great devotee of Krishna. What are the precautions to be taken on Tulsi after you begin to use Tulsi Mala? That Tulsi Mala is sacred, so it should not be kept in a dirty place, it should not be touched with dirty hands. It should be properly taken care of as a respectable spiritual paraphernalia. Next question. Following is a statement in Ishopanishad, introduction. There is a statement in the Brahma Samhita, just ride on the airplane which runs at the speed of mind. Our material airplanes can run 2000 miles per hour, but what is the speed of the mind? You're sitting at home, you immediately think of India, say 10,000 miles away. At one, it is in your home. Your mind has gone there. The mind speed is so swift. End of the quote. Although Srila Prabhupada says here that the mind has gone there, how do we understand this? If the mind were able to really go to India, I must be able to see what is happening in India right now, which is not possible. Okay, what does Prabhupada mean when he says the mind has gone there? Means physically you are not in India. Supposing somebody is sitting in Bangalore. Physically and mentally, the person will be in the environment he or she is sitting, okay, in Bangalore, wherever, in your home. But if in the middle of that some activity you're doing, being conscious of your immediate surroundings, you are reminded of some other place, let's say 1,000 miles, 1,000 kilometers away, some New Delhi. So you are reminded of New Delhi. Mentally, you are in New Delhi, thinking of New Delhi, thinking of some situation, or thinking of some incident, or thinking of some place, or thinking of some temple, or thinking of some person. So mentally, you are there. Mentally, you are not here. Your mind is not focused, or mind is not attentive to whatever is happening in the physical place you are situated. Your senses are in your active physical senses of perception, sense of action are in the place where you're physically situated. Your body is. So how can you say that if my mind is going to some other place, I'm not able to see what is happening in that place because your eyes are here. Mind is in another place means mentally you are engaged in some other activity, some other place, some other thought, some other idea, some other subject, something different than what your immediate surroundings and your senses and your immediate location is. You are engaged in a different place or a different idea or different thought, like that. That's the meaning. But for the mind to switch, let's say now I am doing this question answer session. For my mind to switch to some other event that is now happening, let's say in Delhi, in our temple, in Delhi, in Gurugram, it doesn't take not even a fraction of a second. That's the meaning of the speed of the mind. Prabhupada is trying to explain the speed of the mind is so much more than the speed of the fastest aeroplane that we know. It is super fast. We can't imagine the speed of the mind. It's almost like instantaneous. Next question. When exactly did 10,000 years of golden age begin? Did it begin the year when Srila Prabhupada was born, or was it the year when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared? Yes, the 10,000 year golden period began when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. Yes, that is when it began. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inaugurated the Sankirtan movement, which will last 10,000 years on this earth planet, after which Kali Yuga will take full force. So the effect or the influence of Kali Yuga will be very, very less during this 10,000 years golden era on this earth, beginning from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. Next question. Kids are our part and parcel. We don't expect them to always render service to us. If they are happy, we become happy. We expect only love and respect. But why does the Supreme Father expect us to serve him? The sense in which the question is asked, if I may state that we are like children of Krishna, yes. Krishna doesn't expect us to serve him because he is in need of service. Krishna is instructing us to serve him because that's the only way by which our serving propensity can be engaged in such a way that we become satisfied, we become happy. Like there are so many people in this world who are forgetful of Krishna, but because their intrinsic nature is to render service, instead of serving Krishna, they are serving their senses, or they're serving some country, or they're serving some other person. But what is the result of that service? They are not getting the real happiness by such service, other services. They are not getting the real satisfaction. They are not experiencing real joy. So why are they not experiencing? It is because the service is to be done as service to be rendered to Krishna, because we are his part and parcel. Just like Prabhupada gives the example of his finger. This finger is a meaningful part of my body as long as this finger is connected to the body. Moment this finger is separated from the body, it is simply a useless piece of flesh and bone. That's all. And that also want to remain flesh and bone. It is healthy and in good condition when it is connected. When it is disconnected, it will start decaying and it will become completely panchabhuta, of which material it is made. That's all. So like that, when we are properly connected to Krishna, and how can we be connected to Krishna? Through service. So if we are connected to Krishna in a healthy way, in a proper way, through devotional service to him, then we are properly situated. We can expect real happiness, real satisfaction, real exchange of love, everything perfect. Otherwise, when we cannot be disconnected from Krishna, but when we forget him and try to direct our serving propensity towards something else or somebody else, then we'll only be ultimately frustrated because it won't give us the joy we are looking for. We don't give us satisfaction we're looking for. Next question. Garbhodaka Shahi Vishnu resides at the bottom of the Garbhodaka ocean. Please explain from which expansion of the Lord does Lord Varaha incarnate? The incarnations of the Supreme Lord are coming from the spiritual world. The spiritual world, there are so many forms of the Lord. So when the Lord incarnates as Krishna, it is the original Krishna who comes down as he is in the spiritual world, in his personal abode. He comes down as he is. That does not mean he is absent in the spiritual world. No, he expands and he comes in another form which resembles, is identical, not resembles, is identical to that form only. In the spiritual world, same form he comes. But when the Supreme Lord incarnates as Varaha, he is present in the spiritual world in a four-handed form. In a four-handed form, Narayana form. So that Narayana form incarnates as Varaha. He assumes a spiritual form of a boar and he appears in that form. So Narayana appears as Varaha. Now which Narayana? Because there are many different forms of Narayana in the spiritual world. Keshava, Narayana itself as a form in a particular form as the predominating deity of one of the Vaikuntha planets. 24 forms are there. Then there are so many Vaikuntha planets. So one of those forms appear as Lord Varaha. In general, we say Narayana appears as Varaha. Narayana appears as Narasimha. Narayana appears as Rama. But Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrughna, particularly Prabhupada has told in one Bhagavatam purport that the forms of the Lord in the spiritual world as Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha appeared as Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrughna. So specifically Prabhupada has indicated like that. So like that, the Supreme Lord is present in the spiritual world in 400 forms of Narayana and 200 form of Krishna. So Krishna appears 200 form as he is. Narayana appears in different incarnations, and those incarnations are of different forms in this material world, including the incarnation of Vishnu, which resembles the form of Narayana. But the difference is, in the spiritual world, Narayana lives in his particular palace. In the material world, when Narayana incarnates as Vishnu, he will be lying down on his another form called Anantasesha. Anantasesha will be serving the Lord as the Lord's bedstead, as the Lord's footwear, as the Lord's paraphernalia, like that, in the material world only. So these differences are there. But all these forms are completely spiritual. This boar incarnation, Lord Varaha, it is not a material form, spiritual, transcendental form. So completely spiritual means there is no need of thinking that boar is a dirty animal or it is lives in a filthy place. No. Lord Varaha is not like that. He's completely transcendently situated even when he incarnates as Varaha. And the form is completely spiritual. It is glowing. It is glowing with spiritual effulgence, unlimited spiritual effulgence. Of course, the Lord does reduce the effulgence so that people can see him when he appears in the particular form. Next question. Was the relationship between Krishna and Hanuman the same as Rama Hanuman? Please enlighten on this. See, when the Supreme Lord appears as Krishna and the Supreme Lord appears another form as Rama, these forms are particularly meant for the devotees of the Supreme Lord in that particular relationship. Okay? So, when the Supreme Lord appears as Krishna, Hanuman appears as Bhima. Hanuman appears as Bhima because the devotees of the Lord, they relate with the Lord in a particular form. Hanuman always relates to the Supreme Lord as Rama. Now, Rama is eternally present. It's not that Rama, he appeared some millions of years back in Treta Yuga and then he disappeared. It doesn't mean that Rama is no longer there. Rama is always there in the spiritual world. So Hanuman always eternally is related and connected with Rama in the spiritual world. But when Rama incarnates, Hanuman also comes down because he's an eternal devotee of Lord Rama. He also comes down. Similarly, Krishna and Bhima. Bhima also is an eternal devotee of Krishna. So he also comes to this material world when Krishna comes. Like that. Next question. If chanting 16 rounds or reading books becomes galagraha, burden, what should such a grahastha do in such a case? See, these activities cannot be a burden because all such activities are not material activities. If you are wrongly thinking these activities to be like another material activity, then you are mistaken. Completely you are mistaken. First of all, please understand, chanting is not something which is a material activity. It is completely spiritual activity. That means this activity will never give you any material effect. Chanting will never give you any material effect. Chanting will never result in any material pain. Neither chanting is meant for any material enjoyment. No, it is simply meant for spiritual purposes only. Even when you are not yet situated on the spiritual perfection stage of chanting, still, chanting gives you spiritual effect only, even though you are not yet perfect. Even a beginner in chanting Hare Krishna will get only spiritual benefits and spiritual effect of chanting Hare Krishna. So you may wrongly think that chanting is a burden, but because you are equating this chanting to another material duty. Material duties are such that if I can do it nicely without feeling any pressure or without feeling some lack of time or something like that, then I will be able to do it nicely. Otherwise, if I have to do some material duty number one, and also at the same time I not finish the material duty two, if I don't finish that, then there'll be some other complication. If I don't do this, then some other problem. So people get burdened sometimes when they have to do too many things in a given period of time. So what you have to do, if you are not finding enough time for chanting 16 rounds, which you would like to do, then you have to reorganize your schedule. You have to reorganize your schedule and make time for chanting 16 rounds and for reading Prabhupada's books. You should make time. You should make time. You reorganize your schedule. You'll be wasting so much time without your knowledge. If you do accounting, how you spend, let's say yesterday, you sit down and write down what all you spent your time from the morning time you wake up till you go to sleep at night. How you spent all those different times slots. Then you will see so much time is wasted in useless activity. Neither materially beneficial nor spiritually beneficial. Such activities you have to completely avoid. So you reorganize your schedule. You have to reorganize your schedule. That's the only solution I can think of right now. Do demigods possess a material, next question. Do demigods possess a material body like us as they go through the cycle of birth and death? Demigods also have a material body, but not like our body. We have a gross body. Demigods don't have a gross body. They have only a subtle body. So they don't have a gross body, therefore they don't undergo accident like we undergo accident. If unfortunately, if I am meeting with an accident with a physical injury, then that physical injury has to be treated. Whereas demigods don't have a physical gross body. Gross body they don't have. But the subtle body, there will be different kinds of pains, different kinds of anxiety, different kinds of fear. That is definitely there. Next question. Can we honor the food offered to demigods which is not offered to Vishnu? Also, if there are, okay, first part of the question. Can we honor the food offered to demigods which is not offered to Vishnu? Now, if somebody is offering something to demigod without offering to Vishnu, then the demigod, being a devotee, is not accepting that offering. So where is the question of considering that which is offered to demigods without offering to Vishnu as prasadam? It's not prasadam at all. Neither the demigod will honor. Prabhupada explains this in one place, that people who think that in some shops in Calcutta, they have a picture of Kali, and when they cut a goat and that flesh they want to sell, before they sell, they do some kind of offering to the picture of Kali. And then they say, we sell only Kali Prasad. We don't give you meat which is not offered to Kali. So some kind of arrangement is there. So Prabhupada explains, if somebody thinks in such a shop they're getting Kali Prasad, they should know that Kali is Vaishnavi. She is a devotee of Vishnu, pure devotee of Vishnu. So she will never touch meat. She is not going to accept whatever somebody may offer to her. Okay? Then what happens to that offering? Actually, when something is offered to her, she feeds her Rakshasi associates. Her Rakshasi associates. And it is their remnants that this person who is making the offering to Kali will get. So demigods don't touch something which is not offered to Vishnu. If you offer directly to some demigod without offering to Vishnu, demigod will not touch that. The demigods associates who are materialistic, they will be given that. So you're not getting the remnants of what is offered to the demigod as demigod remnants. No, you don't get that. Because all demigods are devotees of Vishnu. Vishnu Bhaktas Vrutodai Sad Viparyayaha. This is the definition in the scriptures. All the devatas are devotees of Vishnu. Okay, next question. Next part of the same question. If there are paintings of demigods and Lord Vishnu, how do we deal with that situation? Demigods are always respected as devotees by other devotees. In the Nectar of Devotion, it is explained, we don't worship devatas, but we do offer respect to devatas as devotees of Vishnu. Just like, how do you deal with other devotees of Krishna? How do you deal with other demigods apart from Vishnu? They are devotees of Vishnu. So you should deal with them like you deal with devotees of Vishnu. So demigods are not worshipped, but demigods suitable respect by other devotees of Vishnu. Next question. If one initiated devotee realizes that he has done the mistake in hurrying, now he is not qualified, not able to follow the rules expected from initiated devotee, what to do now? It's not difficult to follow the rules which Prabhupada has given for us to follow as initiated devotees. Please remember, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has simplified the practice of bhakti for us in this present age. He simplified it to the maximum extent possible. So nothing more simplified can be done by anybody who is interested in Krishna consciousness. So if you have taken the initiation, that means you are interested in Krishna consciousness. Now, because you may be having some difficulty in following some particular rule, doesn't mean that you are disqualified from practicing bhakti. No, it doesn't mean you're disqualified. It is just that you are fallen into some wrong association, or you are not having devotee association, or you are engaged in some activity as part of your job which involves breaking some regulated principles. All this have to be rectified appropriately. You have to rectify and pray to Krishna. He'll help you to rectify. It's not impossible. It is possible. Everything is very much possible. So either you have to give up association of non-devotees, whose association is making you feel this inability to follow some regulated principles, or you are engaged in some job which involves breaking regulated principles. So don't accept some jobs. Look for a job where you don't have to break regulated principles. And pray to Krishna. Krishna is active in everybody's heart. Krishna will 100%, 200% help you. If you are sincere in your prayer, you really want to avoid bad association, you want to avoid working in a job which involves breaking regulated principles, you want to avoid non-devotees, Krishna will help you. Definitely, 100% Krishna will help you. Pray to him. And you try from your side to change the association. You try from your side to change the job which is not suitable for you. Like that. So you can follow. You were following in the past, so you can follow evil now. It's not impossible. It is not that you're disqualified. Nobody is disqualified from bhakti. Why? Because bhakti is the natural activity for every soul. We are all spirit soul. It is natural. It is artificial and unnatural for us to do material activity. It is unnatural for us to do material activity. Spiritual activity, there is no need of any qualification or any special skill or nothing. You got a tongue, you vibrate the tongue, you produce so many sounds, you can produce the sound of Hare Krishna. What's the difficulty? You have to eat. Don't eat some few things which are told as forbidden items. Eat some nice vegetables, fruits, milk, some grains, some dal. So many items are there. Why do you particularly go and eat that item like meat or fish or eggs or some nonsense like that? Why do you do that? So become little sober, think over, pray to Krishna, associate with devotees, read Prabhupada's books, chant Hare Krishna, vibrate your tongue, doesn't matter wherever you are, whatever your condition now, chant Hare Krishna. Simply chant. Don't even think of the rules for chanting. Simply vibrate. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Immediately your situation will get purified and your situation will change. Krishna will make it happen. It's a miracle that will happen. Next question. How effective is performing Shraddha ceremonies for departed souls in Kali Yuga when there are no qualified Brahmana who can chant Vedic hymns? It's a fact that many of the rituals that are prescribed in the scriptures are not very much effective in Kali Yuga because we don't have qualified Brahmanas chanting the mantras which are required to be chanted. So, one easy way out of this particular Shraddha ceremony is, Shraddha ceremony involves offering Vishnu Prasad to the departed soul. So, if you don't have a reasonably qualified Brahmana who can chant with some purity, then you can offer some food to a picture of Vishnu or Krishna, and that remnants of that you can offer it to a picture of the departed soul. You can do that. Actually, you are performing devotional service is enough for substituting that Shraddha ceremony performance. There's a verse in the Bhagavatam which says, Devarshi bhutaptan drinam pitrunam na kinkaro nayam runicha rajan sarvatmanaya sharanam sharanyam gato mukundam pariruttikartam. Somebody who was taken to devotional service in all seriousness need not perform the different duties pertaining to duty towards pitris, departed souls, towards demigods, towards rishis, etc. No need to perform those duties. Because performance of pure devotional service substitutes all other duties that are to be performed towards other personalities. Next question. The kind of disturbance in society on religion, how do a Krishna conscious person react keeping strong faith in God based on the promise yada yada hi dharmasya shloka? Now, this shloka, as far as applying the shloka for our present age, that Krishna has incarnated as the Hare Krishna mantra. Krishna has incarnated the Hare Krishna mantra. So you chant Hare Krishna and you take shelter of Krishna directly. That sound vibration of Hare Krishna will destroy all evil in Kali Yuga, will remove all obstacles on your path of progress in Krishna consciousness, will protect your strong faith in Krishna simply chanting Hare Krishna. Because by chanting, Krishna is personally appearing on your tongue as the sound of the Hare Krishna mantra. So that incarnation of Krishna is there in Kali Yuga, and to actually take advantage of that incarnation of the holy name, you simply have to vibrate your tongue and produce that sound of Hare Krishna. That's nothing else. Nothing else is required. So you keep chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, and you see all obstacles are gone, all problems are solved, and you are having personally Krishna's presence simply by your vibrating and producing the sound. Krishna is personally present. Next question. Although I know that I should not eat more or collect more, but I am not able to implement the same. What is the knowledge? Why is the knowledge not getting implemented into action? Okay. To put some knowledge or understanding into practice requires that we be able to control our senses and regulate our material desires. For example, if I have a habit of, let's say, drinking coffee, let's take this example. Now, after I come to know about Krishna consciousness, I desire to stop drinking coffee because it's not good for me. At least it is spiritually not good. Materially also it is not good. So I want to stop drinking coffee. Just because I decide I want to stop, tomorrow onwards I'll not take coffee, does it mean that I'll be able to immediately stop coffee? May not be. Habits don't go away so easily, especially bad habits or wrong habits will not go away simply because I decide I don't want to do it, or I don't like to do it anymore, or I want to stop it. Merely thinking I want to stop or deciding not to do is not enough. What more is required? I have to actually chant Hare Krishna, purify my heart, my consciousness, and gradually, As I become more and more pure, my determination will increase, my habit will change, and I will lose taste for this coffee. I lose taste for this coffee. Then the same coffee, even if I try to drink that, it will not be any more pleasurable. That is when the transformation has happened inside through chanting Hare Krishna. So, before somebody actually tries to change a habit, before that, it is important to sufficiently chant Hare Krishna and purify the heart. Purity is the force, Prabhupada says. So purification of heart is the power to change habits, power to follow the principles, regulative principles, power to do what you like to do or what you should do instead of doing something else which you were doing earlier. Power to change material activities to spiritual activities. That power is by chanting Hare Krishna and purifying the heart. Next question, Bhagavad Gita 18 chapter 69th verse. Nacha tasmat manushyeshu. I'll just open that verse. Yes. Nacha tasman manushyeshu kaschin me priyakruttamaha. Bhavita nacha me tasmad anya priyataro bhuvi. There is no servant in this world more dear than he, nor there ever be one more dear. How to understand this? Krishna is describing that there are so many devotees of Krishna who are doing different kinds of service to Krishna. Among all those devotees, because every devotee who renders some service to Krishna is dear to Krishna. But among those who are dear to him, all the devotees are dear to Krishna. Those who are rendering some service, some particular service. But among the different devotees who are dear to Krishna, millions and billions and trillions of them, who is the dearmost devotee? If that is the question that is asked, Krishna himself is telling the dearmost devotee is he or she, any person who is preaching this message of Bhagavad Gita in this material world among those who are forgotten Krishna, those who are lost, those who are suffering, to relieve their suffering, to bring back their memory of Krishna, to bring them back into Krishna consciousness. You preach this message of Bhagavad Gita. You become the dearmost servant of Krishna. Next question. In Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, please explain the difference between Vishwarupa creations and Lord Brahma creations. See, the creation happens in different stages. The first beginning of creation is the glance of Mahavishnu on the dormant material energy. After that, the elements are differentiated by the action of the gunas on the dormant material energy, and then the elements are given to Brahma. Now, Brahma himself is born at a certain stage when the creation proceeds. Just like Mahavishnu first enters the dormant material energy, and then he breathes out universes. Then those universes in the seed-like form, Mahavishnu himself expands as Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. And the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu enters into each universe. And then the universe begins to develop. So when the universe begins to develop, then at a certain stage of this universal development of the universe, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu expands as Virat Rupa, the Virat Purusha. Is also called Hiranya Garbha, another form of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. is Garbhorakshaya Vishnu only in another form in the universe. He actually creates the planets and the place of residence for all the living beings will be created by Brahma and the Prajapatis. So after this Vishwarupa creation, Vishwarupa means this Virat Rupa, who creates all the different facilities, the arrangements for the different living beings to be reside, and after they're born. So Brahma first he creates the Prajapatis, and the Prajapatis create the first of each species, and then the species will multiply according to the particular method of producing progeny. So then the whole universe gets populated. So difference between the creation of Vishwarupa and creation of Lord Brahma is that Vishwarupa has got specific role in the creation process. Brahma's creation is only generating the living beings of particular forms who will populate the universe. Like Brahma creates the Prajapatis, and the Prajapatis create the different species. Next question. Is it true that a soul in a woman's body can't go back home without taking a man's body again? This is completely wrong. It's completely wrong. It is not dependent on the body, it is dependent on the consciousness. Going back to Godhead for any living being is dependent on consciousness. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he delivered one dog which was following Shivananda Sena. One of the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to come every year from Bengal to Jagannath Puri to visit Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, also participate in Rath Yatra. So that devotee, Shivananda Sena, he also used to bring with him so many other devotees in his neighborhood. And they were traveling, and one dog started following Shivananda Sena one particular year when he was traveling from Bengal to Jagannath Puri, from his place in Bengal. So the dog was following, and generally when dogs follow, for some time they'll follow, and after that they'll go back. But this dog did not go back to its place from where it started following. It kept on following. Then Shivananda Sena noticed somehow the dog has become attached to this set of devotees, and then he would give it some prasadam. It would happily take the prasadam. And like that, the dog kept on going with the devotees till the party reached the precincts of Jagannath Puri, and some devotees, they went ahead a little faster, and the dog also went with those devotees who went faster. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sitting in a particular place when devotees went and paid obeisances. That dog also went and stood near Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told the dog, chant Hare Krishna. And the dog in its own way, was making some sound. It was apparently chanting Hare Krishna. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was given a tender coconut, some coconut water to drink. He drank that. Then the servant opened tender coconut and removed that layer of the pulp inside that coconut and gave to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took one piece of the pulp and threw it to the dog. The dog ate that pulp, prasadam of the tender coconut, and devotees saw that the dog quit that body of the dog, the soul in the dog's body, and in 4 hands went back to Vaikuntha. So it is not that in a particular body only somebody can go back to Godhead. It is the consciousness. If in a woman's body somebody develops 100% Krishna consciousness, like women are also chanting, women are also reading, women are also worshipping, women are also doing all the activities of bhakti as well as men are doing. So whoever practices bhakti very seriously, very nicely, and perfects their devotional service, they will definitely, at the end of this life, go back to garden. There is no thing like women cannot go, men only can go. No such thing. When someone addresses me as devotee of Krishna, I feel happy, but I do not like when someone addresses me as ISKCON follower. Why I make this difference? Maybe you are thinking that you have some negative connotation about being called as a ISKCON follower, or you don't like people to your self to be associated with ISKCON, something like that. It's a negative conception about ISKCON itself. ISKCON, you don't see it as a material organization. Please don't see it that way. Then you see so many defects and so many things which are undesirable in terms of some so-called followers or so-called employees or something like that. Don't see it that way. You should consider ISKCON as a spiritual organization simply meant for guiding people, teaching people, giving an opportunity to people to know about bhakti, Krishna consciousness, and follow and execute devotions and go back to God. That's all. You see ISKCON in that way. Don't see it like a material organization or material building. No, don't see it that way. Don't see it that way. Then this prejudice will go away from your mind. Okay, I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.